Hello, friends. All right, we are in our final episode of the 6 B's. All right, and I'm going to read them because I don't want to get them wrong. Belief, bread, bullion, bullets, and today we're going to talk about bandages and bug-out bag. It's quite an alliteration there for you. This series is designed to follow the proverbial statement in the scriptures that the wise man sees danger approaching and prepares for it. The fool passes on and suffers. I don't want to suffer. I don't want my family to suffer. I don't want you and your family to suffer. So my mission in this series is very simple: to try and bring you and me closer to speed, if you will, the speed that people had 100, 150, in some cases 200 years ago, where they knew what they would have to do to survive bad times. Now, as I've said before, I'll say it one more time. I have house insurance, health insurance, I have liability insurance, I have car insurance. I don't want to use any of it. I really don't. But if disaster occurs or a calamity occurs or a difficulty or the need arises for any of those insurances, they're there. All right? We've made preparation. This series is about preparing against what may be the coming hard times. Now, listen to me. You don't have to be a prophet to see that the dollar is collapsing. CNN recently did a show showing a great number of nuclear facilities in America, nuclear power plants, that are completely unguarded, and one well-placed terrorist bomb would result in cataclysmic disaster for this country if there was any type of a collapse of the dollar or severe food shortages. We've seen various little pockets in our country where portions of cities have gone up in flames, where riots have broken out. That could be the tip of the iceberg, what we've seen. I don't want it to be. I pray that I and you get to finish our days in peace and that we get to see our children and our children's children and maybe even great-grandchildren. That would be a blast. But it does seem like the writing is on the wall that there are difficult times ahead. So therefore, we need to be ready for them. So we're going to talk about bandages, and I want to thank my staff for all of their help. And I want to say one other thing, and that is that I don't like talking about this. A lot of what I'm about to say makes me squeamish. You know, thank God my wife took some medical classes in college and was considering becoming a nurse, chose not to do that, but she's really good with medical stuff. When we have a small medical emergency with our sons, she is on it. One of the members of the team has had EMT training and was there to help recently when a little boy got a really deep cut on his foot. He knew exactly what to do. It was really impressive. This stuff makes me squeamish. I don't like talking about it. But I owe it to you, I owe it to myself, to know as much as I can and to deliver this data as much as possible. So if the stuff hits the fan and we have to become much more self-sufficient as a people, our families. If you've moved out to suburbia, if you've moved out to the country, you're going to have to become more self-sufficient. So some simple precautions are in order, because if help is not on the way, if a doctor is not right around the corner, if the drugstore closed and you can't get an antibiotic, a simple cut that gets infected could become a death sentence. All right? I'll talk more about that later, but we want to do what we can to avoid injury. So, the most important thing that I want to start off with is don't get hurt. If you're doing gardening, wear gloves. If you stick your hand in amongst some weeds, what if there's a snake there that bites you? What if there's a sharp piece of something and it gashes you? The glove will protect you. This is simple precaution. If you're using a chainsaw, have headwear on. Have steel-toed shoes. If you can get some chaps, wear them. Because if the chainsaw kicks, and I've cut a lot of wood with chainsaws, if the chainsaw kicks and it hits your leg and gashes your flesh, that might be a death sentence. If you've got chaps on, it's going to deflect. All right? Ask for help. 2 is better than 1. It's a foolish man who climbs up a ladder without someone holding it down at the bottom and spotting for him. Here is a really critical one. Now and this I'm saying to myself as well, now is the time to get medical training. The Red Cross in your area, they'll do some basic first aid training. You might have an EMT training seminar that comes regularly for you, for people who are interested perhaps in serving on a volunteer ambulance or a volunteer fire company. Get some EMT training. Go to the Red Cross. Go to your local volunteer firehouse. Ask them when they have this type of basic medical training. And by the way, if you've got kids, if you have children, this is good training to have right now. Like I said, I've been able to get off a little bit scot-free because my wife has all of this training. She worked in a nursing home for years. She has basic medical knowledge. I don't. And if my wife wasn't around, I'd be hard-pressed. So if you've got children, this is something you should be doing. All right, I'm going to take a quick break. When we come back, we're going to start to pull out some of the items that would be usable for you in an end-of-the-world scenario. Don't go away.